Hello, welcome to the 5 Day Writing Challenge. I'm your host for this challenge, Vicky Lord, and we are writing a piece of written art over 5 days. So if you're joining us, huge welcome. And we've previously done the last 4 days. You can catch the last four replays. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see them. Um, and today on day five, we're bringing everything we've learned over the last 4 days into completion, where we're going to create a written piece of art today, and you'll be very proud of it. So excited for you to do this. So your challenge for today, let's move into it. I'm going to screen share with you where we were up to. So let me find my share button. Here it is. Okay, so here we go. So we've got bringing it all together. So the last 4 days, on day one, we did some freestyle writing where you wrote down for 10 minutes and then you highlighted your favorite words. And so for day one example, this is just an example, your words will be different, but the words used on day one that were highlighted was freedom, hope, and adventure. And then on day two, we went to sensory words, which was using the five senses, bringing it to life. So instead of saying I smelt the flowers, it was the sweet aroma of the rose. So we're bringing more graphic language into the senses. And then on day three, we used our favorite words and we anchored that to a story. So something that meant a lot to us. And then on day four, we did a polarity story where we talked about like the sun and the moon, two opposites, but they attract or they don't attract. Um, and then we are bringing them for expressions together today to create the written piece of art. So, working through this worksheet today, this worksheet can be printed out. I will leave the link below where you can print it and you can work through this as well. But I wouldn't recommend doing this day five until you've done your first four workouts for this writing challenge. But moving on anyway, let's go through this. So you've got freedom, hope, and adventure. And then the sensory words was shimmering, salty, sweet, soft, and there's also whispered that was written down as the example on day two. And then the anchor or the story experience was walking with my family along the cliffs of the south coast, feeling the breeze and smelling the salty ocean air that was anchored to the experience of the past. And then we wrote a sentence with the start of one of our favorite words. So, for example, here, hope was the favorite word. So, hope was the adventure of the sea, or freedom danced with the wind as I stepped forward. And then bringing the metaphor to life. So, metaphor is another word for a story. So, we're going to bring the story to life with a metaphor. And so in this metaphor, the author uses, which is myself, which uses the cliffs stood tall, and it stopped the ocean's wave. So you can see the polarity in that writing. The ocean is full of movement and freedom, yet it's stopped by the cliff. So that was the metaphor for freedom and restraint. And then adding the finishing touch, which is the final piece that brings it together, and that is either the result or the feeling that you want your reader to feel. And so down here, I've got some examples for you where you've got some sentence starters. So if you don't know how to bring this together, just come down here and use a bit of the general sentence starter. So in that moment, I felt, and you think about it, what did you feel? And let the world remind you, and then you can put your little piece on there. I couldn't help but notice, like, the grass was shimmering green because of the dew that was sitting on it. So go through here. There's a few sentence starters to start, and just write it down and see where it takes you. And then the next part is reflection or prompts for creating the metaphor, so that when you're sharing your story, instead of just saying like I walked along the cliffs, you can come down here and you can get metaphor building, and it can be like the cliffs seemed huge and they echoed while I was walking along the edge of the cliff looking out at the deep blue sea. So you can bring it more to life. If you're not sure how to do that, then use these prompts for putting sentences together, metaphors together. Or like the ocean um, moves with the wind, I discovered that my inner soul moves with um, dance. So that's how you do that. So I'll share the next page with you now. So the most important thing that you do when you're writing is that you just trust yourself. Um, because it's all within you, and um, once you trust yourself, you will be able to go as far as you like with your writing. So I'm going to share this screen with you, and I'll show you how a piece of writing all comes together. So this is bringing everything together. So I'll walk with you through day 5. So the favorite words was freedom, hope, and adventure for this piece of art. So it says, as the sweet breeze of the wind moves over my feet, I take an adventurous step one by one towards the ocean. So you can see that the first adventure is in there. And then the second line says, the ocean reminds me of the time I walked with my family along the hilltops of the South Coast cliffs. We gazed across the shimmering, endless horizon of the South Pacific Ocean. Looking over the expanse of blue, everything felt possible. Hope was the adventure of the sea. Freedom to move is within me. The ocean seemed to whisper, filled with the promises of endless movement. Even as the cliffs stood tall, holding their ground, restraining and pushing back the ocean's waves. In that moment, I realized the ocean's freedom was like the human soul. I understood the power of existence within the balance of freedom and restraint. So even when life's cliffs do not move, the current of life still flows. While freedom may be restrained, power still resides strong within me, the ocean expressed. Let the hills and cliffs own their magnificence. So that was a spelling mistake that right there. It's not supposed to say maleficence, it's supposed to say magnificence. So I, the ocean, will continue to move with my own power, strength, and rhythm. The feeling of freedom is not about breaking free. It's about knowing who you are and moving with your own power, no matter the resistance. So if you come over this piece of writing, you'll see that it is all about freedom, hope, and adventure. And when I wrote this piece, when I first started writing this piece, I had no idea it was going to be this. All I knew is that there was the 3 power words, and then I went back and I chose a moment in time, which was walking with the ocean across the cliffs with my family, which anchored the feeling of freedom, adventure, and hope. And then that brought to life the polarity or the metaphor of the ocean and the cliffs together. And it was in that moment you realize the ocean is free and yet it's restrained by the cliffs. So, and then you understand freedom is being who you are. The ocean is who it is. It doesn't need to be a cliff because it's an ocean. And then let the cliff be magnificent all on its own, and the ocean can move with its own power. So I want you to trust yourself to write your own piece of art for this. And I want you to do something. This is a challenge today that is going to, it's why it's called a challenge. A challenge is good. So what I want you to do is to, let me share my screen with you again. This is an exciting part. I want you to go to your favorite social media platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or X or LinkedIn, whatever your favorite piece is. And I want you to go and I want you to post your piece of written art so that people can see it. So, and then people are going to read it and they're going to go, wow, that was awesome. And then you're going to get some response, and the response is really interesting. It's not right or wrong, nothing's right or wrong. Just go and post your metaphor or story. And if you do it, I want to know. Like, message me on Instagram or Facebook and go, hey, Vicky, I just posted my written piece of art, and I'll be so thrilled for you. It'll be so cool. And is the end of the 5 day challenge. I hope you really enjoyed that and you learned how to bring your expression to life through the written word. The written word is so powerful. It's been used as long as the human race can remember, and there is no end to writing. It is so full of life. So I want to give you the opportunity as well, if you want to go advanced in your writing and you want to create a career out of blog or article writing, I have a course called the Spiritual Souls blogging course, and it walks you through how to create a career or a passion around blogging specifically, because I found that you can just be yourself with a blog. You don't have to live up to anybody's expectation, and it's a great way to let yourself really, yeah, express yourself to the world through blogging. So if you like that, I'll link that below as well. And don't forget, if you want to share with me your written piece of content, I'd love to see it. Have an amazing day, and thank you so much for joining this challenge.